Week 1 in the books. Oklahoma opens the 2025 season with a 35-3 victory over the Illinois State Redbirds. And here at Sooners on SI, we'll tell you all about it. Carson Field, along with Ryan Chapman today. Carson, highly anticipated. It was the debut of the Ben Arbuckle, John Mateer era in Norman. Little hinky on the first 2 drives, a 3-and-out, a Jaron Kanak fumble, but they got it righted. 3 long touchdown drives in the first half, tacked on a couple more in the second half. Just overall, what'd you think about the offense in a highly anticipated Week 1 showdown with FCS Illinois State?
Well, I mean, the big takeaway is John Mateer's game, breaking a record for passing yards in a debut with the Sooners. Obviously, that's huge. That's much anticipated considering what the passing game looked like last year. I mean, he was throwing it downfield quite a bit. Guys like Isaiah Satania, Keontez Lewis, Jaron Kanak, as you mentioned, all getting involved. A lot of different playmakers for the Sooners. That's got to excite a lot of people. So just, I mean, it is Illinois State. We have to take that into consideration, but I think Sooner fans should be happy overall with the offensive output.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to separate passing game versus rushing game, which we'll do here. That final line for Mateer, 30 for 37, 392 yards through the air, 3 scores through the air, added a rushing touchdown as well, over 400 yards of total offense, and like you said, Carson, that 392 through the air did break Baker Mayfield's record for an Oklahoma quarterback in a debut. Carson, in the first half alone, 5 completions of 20 yards or more. I know you were on the field, so you weren't diving through the stats. Do you happen to know how many times that happened in the entirety of last year?
I do not.
20 times all year in 2024. 5 of those in the first half, including the first scoring drive, which was a 28-yard completion on that other sideline behind us, Deion Burks. That would have been tied for the 12th largest passing play last year. The 27-yarder to Jacob Jordan that landed on the 1-yard line, that would have been tied for the 14th longest completion last year. It was night and day through the air, though, Carson. It did kind of smell like OU Temple on the ground. A couple of guys unavailable. Michael Fasusi did not play at tackle. Heath Ozida did not play at left guard. Derek Simmons did not play at right tackle. You saw a different rotation. Jacob Sexton exited the game early, and it was touch and go, frankly, on the ground. John Mateer got that first 7-yard touchdown run, but felt like Javonte Barnes couldn't really run behind this unit. Found a little bit as they moved to Torrey Blaylock and as they moved to a new setup, moving Febechi Wiwu from right guard to left guard. That allowed them to play Febechi Wiwu, Troy Everett, and the freshman Ryan Foje. Later in the game, you saw Jake Michael, the Stanford transfer, come in. Brent Venables not overly concerned about the offensive line in postgame, Carson. He did talk about, hey, a couple of guys unavailable. Was there some stuff that we need to improve on? Yes, absolutely. But I kind of followed up and asked him about that 3-man unit of Febechi, Jake Michael, and Ryan Foje, because it felt like that was the most physical group there. We'll see. Brent Venables had talked about mass subbing as far as chemistry goes on the interior. That's something that they built there. So we'll see at tackle. It felt like Carson, I know certainly from the box, what it looked like on field level, it seemed like some of the weaknesses popped up at either tackle spot.
Yeah, they definitely did, and you could see that with the ground game. Not the best game on the ground. I mean, some people really stood out, though, like Torrey Blaylock, for example. As a freshman, that is a heck of a true freshman debut. I thought he looked great. But overall, I think it was a little surprising. I think most videographers I was talking to on the field, like, what's going on? Like, this is Illinois State. This is not the most physical D-line you're going to see. So that was a little bit discouraging, but overall, I mean, Arbuckle, Mateer, the receivers, they all found a way and put up a decent amount of points against one of the better teams in the FCS level.
Yeah, Blaylock finished with 44 yards on the ground. That was the most of any Oklahoma rusher. Also had that touchdown. Had a play called back. There was a holding, things like that. So he kind of had one of his chunk plays wiped away. It was an up and down day at times for Jaron Kanak. He was the victim of one of those holding calls. He also had the fumble on the second possession, but Carson, outside of that, if you take away I know you can't take away plays, things like that, but for a guy flipping from linebacker to tight end, a really, really nice debut for the offensive version of Jaron Kanak and Norman.
I absolutely thought the same thing. I know we talked earlier in the week on the podcast about, is that just kind of a game one reward? Is Jaron Kanak really going to be used that much? The answer evidently is yes. He looked fantastic after that fumble that you mentioned. He had a really good game, saw some of his natural linebacking abilities, using his size, got downfield, got open a couple times. And I mean, he could have put up even bigger numbers. There was one that was kind of a jump ball he didn't come down with. That one just fluttered incomplete. He looked really good, and to that point, I'm a little surprised we didn't see more Carson Kent, Will Huggins. I believe both of them had 1 catch each. Don't know if that's exactly right, but I know they had minimal impacts, but Kanak did look fantastic. Looks like someone that's really going to be used in this offense.
Yeah, 11 different receivers caught balls. Kanak finished leading receiver in yards, 90 yards there. Keontez Lewis got 9 balls for 119 and 2 scores, made a really nice contested catch there. At the end, we saw a little bit of Jaden Ott. We had kind of previewed he might be held out precautionary. He played on both kickoffs and then had basically a drive late in the third quarter. His first carry, Carson, he grabbed the ball, he looked up, and there were 2 white shirts in the backfield. Not great there. He had an incompletion as well. I'm expecting what I would label as the full debut for Jaden Ott once Michigan rolls into town next Saturday. Let's flip this thing over. Other side of the ball. Thought it was a good showing for the defense. I know Brent Venables talked about a couple of boots they got caught on early, 1 or 2 moments, but the only scoring came from John Mateer's interception where Illinois State took over at the 22-yard line, the plus 22. Other than that, this defensive line, I know that Brent Venables talked about, there's some stuff I didn't like in the interior as far as missed tackles, but I thought they dictated play.
No, overall, they absolutely did. And I mean, Illinois State, they had a couple big runs, but that's to be expected against anybody that's halfway decent. That's the best way to describe Illinois State, halfway decent. Good for the FCS level, not going to really compete with the Sooners, but they're still going to get plays. That's football. You're still going to allow some decent yardage plays. Tommy Rittenhouse, before he got injured, definitely showed off his legs, Winkers right a couple of times too. So, I mean, they let up a couple plays, but you look at the depth. Some of the guys like Owen Heineke, for example, I thought he looked impressive today. Taylor Wine, we've been hearing so much about him throughout the offseason. He looked great tonight. Guys like that. And then, of course, your Kendall Daniels, Oklahoma State transfer. He looked really good. So, I mean, overall, I thought the defense was fantastic. No takeaways, but overall was really impressive.
Held Illinois State to 151 yards. Taylor Wine's going to have to send Tommy Rittenhouse a apology card, a get well soon card. He had one heck of a hit that unfortunately knocked Rittenhouse out of the game. Samuel Masigo got his first career sack, so that was super positive. I thought almost the best thing, Carson, was you saw a little bit of Cortland Guillory, which I thought was good. I know Brent Venables basically said the holding call he was called for, I thought he was in a good position. That stuff happens, but he rebounded a couple plays later. Gentry Williams came up and had a really nice tackle for loss on the second possession of the game that Illinois State had, so that was good to see. And then a healthy Peyton Bowen is a productive Peyton Bowen. He was all over the place. I thought Kobe McKenzie was all over the place early as well for Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, Kobe was definitely all over the place. I feel
Trucked
like
a running back.
Yeah, no, he made big plays early and often whenever he was in the game. I thought he was great. Some of those guys, I mean, R. Mason Thomas didn't play necessarily as huge of a role as you might see later in the season, but this was a game really to shuttle around a lot of people, and we talked about that before this game, and they accomplished that. And a lot of their younger pieces, guys that might not be leaned on if everyone stays healthy later in the season, they looked like they can show it when SEC play comes. Something bad happens, one of the stars gets injured. Looks like they have a lot of depth. That's what they needed to prove, and they did that tonight.
If that was the defense knocking off the cobwebs, I think Oklahoma's defense is going to be kind of as advertised, like we all expected. We will find out next week, though. That's when the big test rolls into town. Number 14, Michigan, college game day officially going to be in Norman. The first game day post-Corso will be Oklahoma and Michigan. 6:30 here on Owen Field. ABC, all that fun stuff. But you know the drill. OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com. That's where you can find all the videos from postgame tonight. That's where you can find all of our content. We're about to head up to the press box and start grinding, writing about Jaren Kanak, writing about John Mateer and his debut here in Norman. OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com is the place to be. It's also where you can find the postgame pod. Carson and I, once we get done writing all that fun stuff, we're going to really do the deep dive from the press box up there. If you're a YouTuber, head to John Hoover Media. That's the YouTube channel where you can find all the videos, all that fun stuff, as well as the podcast. We'll be back here in Norman Monday night for player interviews, Tuesday mid-morning, technically, for Ben Arbuckle and Brent Venables' Michigan preview press conference. And then, obviously, we're going to have the whole squad here next Saturday. Carson will be here. I'll be here. We'll have who? We also have special guests join the squad that will be along with us to cover this mammoth matchup between Oklahoma and Michigan. That'll do it here for the opener, though. For Carson Field, I'm Ryan Chapman. For Who, running things back home. Be sure you're locked in. OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com. We'll talk to you guys here in the postgame pod in about a couple hours. Don't worry about it. We'll talk to you then.